Happy Mother's Day, and welcome to a special edition of The Pivot with Regina Jackson, business manager, agent, 2 master's degrees, and yes, the mother of Jayden Daniels. Chan's not here today, but I do have our guy, Freddie T. I'm your boy, RC, and welcome to The Pivot. Pivot fam, thank you for pivoting with us. When we decided that we were going to do a Mother's Day show, the first name that popped into my head and to Alicia's head was yours.
You know, what better place than to come on with you and speak to everything that's kind of been going on and just actually get to know who I am. Like, everybody associates me as the mother of Jayden Daniels, but as I tell everybody, I had Jaden. Jaden didn't have me. So, you know, I am Regina Jackson, and I want to be known to the world as Regina Jackson and not always the mother of Jayden Daniels or Jayden Daniels' mom.
Now, I just remember meeting you at Arizona State, right? And you're sitting in the stands, right? You didn't ask for a special treatment, but you were that mom that tried to get everybody to cheer. You were that mom that was at the game early. You were that mom that was involved to a level where it made other parents and other mothers and other fathers see that this is how you're supposed to support not only a college athlete, but a college organization.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about Jaden coming up and how involved you were in making sure he took the right steps, but also giving him every opportunity to succeed.
Yeah, so I mean, football is like all we've known. Actually, sports. I can't even say football because when he was young, his first sport was soccer at 4. And then he did basketball, track. He's been running track since he was 5. So I'd be at track meets every weekend. Football came into play, and I'm the type of parent that, you know, everybody complains about, you know, look at this helmet or look at this equipment. And I came up to him and I was like, hey, this is not up to par for the standards of my kid, but how can I help you? How can I support you guys instead of being the problem? How can I help be the solution? So with that, when he was 7, I was the treasurer of his Pop Warner football team. And then the next year, I became the president and I ran the chapter for 6 years. My goal was to bring, you know, community involvement, bring awareness, and let them know that, like, the San Bernardino chapter was here. And when we went out, we were actually a predominant chapter. Like, we, you know, whoop some butt from, you know, top to bottom. But we also looked the part. You know, it's very big coming from a, you know, inner city where the kids don't really have a lot of money and you have to hold parents accountable because, you know, they'd rather do some other things, and just showing them that if we support our kids, this is what we can be about. And we changed the way the organization was viewed. You know, the uniforms, every year, you know, we had new helmets, new jerseys, new, you know, uniforms, and it brought something back that organization hadn't had in a long time.
In the eyes of the public, you're gonna always be Jaden's mom.
I know.
But, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sure that's something you don't want to change that because you're gonna always be his mom.
Yeah.
But I would like for people to know who Ms. Jackson is, right? Like, your upbringing, were there any strong mentors in your life, maybe either your own mom? And what's one thing that people might be surprised to know about you?
Yeah, my biggest mentor, you know, may he rest in peace, was my father. My father instilled a lot of things in us as far as, like, education. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna, you know, get degrees, you're gonna, you know, strive, be, you know, excellent in everything you do, have a strong work ethic. My dad didn't play, he was military background. Wow. So definitely Marine Corps jarhead. So he definitely instilled it with us to where I remember when I first got my car, he was like, if you don't have a car insurance, you ain't driving no car, you know, and he wasn't playing. So it's like you had to get a job and work, and I've been working since I was 16. Going to school full-time, I graduated from high school in 3 years. And same thing with Jaden. When he graduated 3.5, and then went to ASU and graduated in 3, because we've just been instilled in us that education is, you can't go nowhere without education. My sister has a doctorate, you know, so there's a lot of stuff that we were instilled in from a young age.
Yeah, but you also continue to educate yourself, though, not only from the traditional sense, but also creating businesses, creating opportunities for yourself. I know people probably see you all the time doing one of your jobs, which is Jaden's actual business manager, right? You're not just hanging around at the events, you're working, but you've been working since you were 16. Talk a little bit about the ways, you've had to provide for yourself as well as taking care of your children.
I have 2 master's degrees. So not only being a full-time mom, thank you. Not only being a full-time mom, I was a full-time student. I graduated once Jaden was coming around. I was like, okay, I gotta get my stuff together because now I got 2 kids. I have an older daughter. And I was like, you know what, I have to get my life together. What do I want my life to look like? Bringing kids into this world, what does that look like? So I took 60 units in a year, had straight A's, graduated. So after that, I went back and got my first master's in public hospital administration. And then after that, when I was done, I said, you know what, I'm still not done. And I didn't want to get a doctorate, so I went and got my MBA in entrepreneurial. So my bachelor's is the MBA with the concentration of finance. I actually do have a finance background too,
Yeah.
so I know how to manage a little bit of money, know how to run some businesses, know how to open businesses. Our final project we had to do to complete my MBA was building a business plan, and we had to sell it to venture capitalists. And if anybody knows anything about that, it's either pass or fail. And I passed, so.
Do you think having those credentials help you navigate the world around like elite athletes, where a lot of times it can come with predators and vultures, people that want to take advantage of the guys, but having those credentials, knowing that these stories exist and you have a son who's an amazing person and superstar, just to make things a bit easier for him?
Well, first of all, the relationship me and Jaden have, it's like, he's comfortable, He doesn't have to worry, and being a top athlete, whether it was at LSU or whatever, it's like people want what they want, and he's a kid, and I don't know why we stopped parenting kids at a certain age, but that's for a later show. The thing is he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he knows football because that's what he's been doing. And he does it very well. And he's been, very acclimated in sports since he was young, but he doesn't know the business world. He doesn't know the predators or the vultures that could be out there. And so he feels very comfortable in knowing that not only am I educated and qualified to do it, I'm also his mom. And, the thing is, I think we're changing the narrative that hasn't been out there. So it looks a little different than what people are used to, because not only am I educated on that side, I'm also a certified agent, but I'm also his business manager. So I'm dealing on a day-to-day basis. Like, we have a marketing team that I hire, but I'm dealing with creative teams because, again, it's how I want Jaden to be positioned in the world. I don't want him to be positioned, just to go grab a brand deal for the money. Like, I want him to be positioned in the world, for the longevity. So there's a lot of stuff that we don't do because it doesn't align with our brand and what he wants to do.
When I listen to you talk about the things you've done for yourself, but also the way you look at parenting, it just sounds like being a good mama to me. But when things become public and you let the outside world start to pick it apart, they're gonna be able to critique it and break it down and do whatever they want with it. You were very honest about protecting him. You said predators, also protecting him from women who can be predators. And we've seen that all through sports. We see it after their careers. We see it in business. Being the good woman you are, also raising a daughter, why have you been so diligent about protecting Jaden from the wrong woman?
So first and foremost, I have a meme out there, and it's funny. So I can't laugh. I can only laugh about it. But the whole girls comment was made, first of all, 2 years when he was at LSU, and it was a question asked, like, what is your biggest fear? And that should be every parent's biggest fear. That should be, if you're a star athlete and you're a female in WNBA, that should be your biggest fear is, the men or, the women, because you're a public figure and, your dollar amount is associated with your name. So you never know who really is there for you and who's really against you. And our thing is like, I want Jaden to date. I don't want everybody to say I'm putting it on record. My son can date. He can live freely, makes his own decisions. However, the relationship we have, he does value my opinion because, when my kids were little, I did a lot for them. So, and my kids saw that. My father, my background, I worked too hard to allow anybody at any moment to come in and just, take it away. So I have a view of what I feel a good person is. And, but my son is 24 and he does have to go through things and he has to learn on his own. And, he's a great kid and I'm thankful for him. He's, not like some of these other guys, he's really to himself. He's a homebody. He just really is, loves sports, like he really is. So I'm trying to work on his afterlife after sports because at some point it does end. And I don't want him to just be like, now what do I do? So I want to keep him involved in the world and, have opened up a lot of doors. Like I'm in charge of his foundations. We're trying to build facilities and, back in his hometown that are going to help the youth and things like that. So that's what I'm in charge of on top of his everyday business dealings and, like I said, dealing with creative teams. I'm dealing with the creative side. I'm doing the storybooks and how we're positioning him and, all this other stuff. So it's not just about you guys seeing me out and thinking we're just like hanging, party.
I mean, there are like so many pieces of the way people sort of try to attack you or critique you. There are all of these moments on social media. There are these viral moments that people use to sort of pick apart who you are, your proximity to Jaden, and kind of what that means. What do you say about some of those moments?
The context is always put out. It's unfortunate we're in a world now where clickbait is it, right? I mean, I'm on TikTok and I'm like, man, I'm on TikTok and I'm like, God, like, and it takes a lot out of you to not respond because some of this stuff you're just like, you just want to go full-fledged. I mean, I'm getting tagged on Twitter. I'm getting threatened. It's like nuts. It's crazy. And I'm like, all because of like, I'm a mom that protects my son. And I don't have a problem with it. I hold to it. But the narratives don't need to be painted even worse. But like I said earlier, it's new to them. Like, what parent is certified in handling all their kids' business affairs that's a top 2 athlete right now? It's kind of hard. So it's different. And then to see them out all the time when Jayden does come out, it's because he's coming out for business. We're not out for pleasure. We're out for business. And it's a different moment. I think people need to embrace it. And I'm here, on this Mother's Day episode to, inspire women and fathers and, siblings that have the knowledge and the accolades to go in and support and really get involved in these athletes, because it's a lot of stuff that, you're coming from. You gotta understand, I was recruited just a year ago. So not only was I recruited, and now I'm in this space. So like, I know all the good, the bad, the ugly. I've seen it all. But I just want my son to play the game he loves at the highest level. And we always say, keep the main thing the main thing. And in the world that we're in, it's hard to keep the main thing without a good support system around you to allow you to do that. Jayden doesn't really deal with any of the stuff until it's like vetted through me, because I know I'm the person who's closest to him and I know what he likes, what he doesn't like, what time he'll put in, what time he doesn't want. So like, I really vet a lot of this stuff before we even bring it to him.
In the world of social media, clickbait, that's the easy story, right? And it's like, do you have those "I'll be damned if I do and damned if I don't" moments where, you're supposed to be a great mom. Yeah. You're supposed to want to protect your kid, all of your children. And you're supposed to want to enjoy the fruits of the labor. You guys did that together. So people don't get a chance to see the behind the scenes, right? Is there anything you would do different along this journey that you guys have been on? No.
I mean, I still work. I have a full-time job. I have a full-time job and full-time Jaden. So I still work. I take pride in that. Again, like I said, I'm Regina Jackson. I'm not the mother of Jayden Daniels, even though that's what the world associates with me. But when I go to work, I've been in corporate America since I was young, 20s. Like, I've been leading sales teams and, since I was young, that's all I know. Building relationships, driving results. So for me to give that up, I'm losing a piece of myself, and I want to still be me, but also enhance my son and not just be behind him and his money and things like that. Like, I tell Jaden, the minute you tell me I can't buy something, boy, it's gonna be a problem. So I still work. Like I said, it's a full-time job. I'm out here for a work conference. But it means something to me. And I think the world doesn't know that because the world doesn't know us. And like you said, the clickbait is so easy to just, look at. And don't get me wrong, like, I'd probably jump on it too. If I was the hottest thing, like, hey, Jayden and Regina, like, let's go. Jaden's mom, like, let me share it too so I can get my views and my clicks up and, my likes. But again, I think we should normalize just supporting and getting back to real news and what really matters and not all this other stuff because people just fight and just making our own assumption. Like right now, the assumption is, I'm an overbearing parent and, I'm third. I mean, I get tagged on all this stuff. It's like crazy. I look and I'm just like, okay, I'm training again, great. Like, but I'm not a third wheel. Again, like I said, I do want to clear that up. Like my son is able to date. He's able to make his own decisions and he's always made them. If he wants to buy something, but as a parent, my job is to let him know, like, hey, if you do this, this could be the repercussion of this. Mm-hmm. But you're 24, my daughter's 26. You guys got to learn, because when I learned, I wouldn't be the person sitting here if I didn't go through, trials and tribulations, bumps and bruises. The great thing about Jaden is he did it from transferring and having to really losing grandparents and all this stuff. So he's dealt with a lot of adversity for a kid that's at a young age that I worked my tail off to make sure I provided them a life that didn't have to deal with all the extras.
So how do you capitalize on it? Because I envision helicoptermom.com. Let's get some T-shirts going, a couple Stanley Cups. Like we can be business partners.
Well, the helicopter thing, I mean, it's a negative thing. Yeah, so I definitely want to call that. Just like even the boy mom, the boy mom thing. It's like a negative connotation. Like, I'm a parent. I'm not incestuous with my child. I'm like, it's just a weird definition if you really go Google what a boy mom is.
I've never Googled it.
Oh, it's really. My son doesn't run my household. I run my household.
Right.
It's the difference, But I know a lot of boy moms, it's put out there their kids run their house, or that's the man in the house, or that's my husband. And that's my 24-year-old son.
Would he say he runs his own house as well with the help of you?
Of course. I mean, if you're doing football, if you're at football from 5:30 in the morning till in season 6, 7 at night, what kid is really running their household? So there's always someone behind the scenes, whether it's a business manager, whether it's your mother, whether it's, your agent or whatever. There's always someone helping these players. You have to. They are just, if they're really into their craft, they're in the building a lot longer. But no, Jaden knows all about all his finances. He knows everything that's coming up, any decisions we make, what do you want to do? And my goal is to help him reach that height that he wants and be able to put his name on something and be proud. He comes from a community that it's a lot of dark, because the shootings and everything, right? But it's in every community. But he never had to really experience that, but he dealt with it through his friends, and he's lost a couple of friends through bad play, and it's opened his eyes. He's had some friends that had kids at a young age, and just a lot of things that if they could probably look back, they'd probably turn their hands and say, you know what, I don't want to go down this road. And they can still get where they want to be in life and be successful, but it takes a strong backbone and it takes strong parents to help you out.
How did Kyron's, and we messaged a little bit about it, how did Kyron's passing affect you? Because, we listened to his mother, and I reached out, and, I know Jaden did, and Malik, and BT, and when they lose someone as close to them as Kyron was, it also affects the parents who know those young men.
It really it hurts, because as a parent, the one thing we want to do is we want to be a protector and not an overprotector. We want to protect your kids from the world. And, we're supposed to, that's our job, right? We want to shelter them from things that they shouldn't have to experience. Jaden losing 2 grandparents, that was a lot. He had to, we closed 2 caskets together. I don't know how many people could really say they've done that. We closed one down and closed the next one. You would never want your kid to have to experience that level of pain. Then as a friend, you never want to experience your friend just not want to be here? Like, what mental capacity was he going through? And, we've, talked to his mom and all that, and she's just as involved and, just as supportive. But just to know that, like, you couldn't connect with your kid enough to get him out of that dark space, And once that happened, I told Jaden, I said, I don't care what it is. Like, you better not, you call me for everything, anything and everything. There's nothing we can't pull you out of, because mental health is real and you just never know what your kids are internalizing. And this generation, they don't talk. Yeah. So we're a generation where we could talk all day long and we pry out. So not only do you have to be aware of behavior and body languages and things like that, but you also have to get them to talk. And like I said, we're coming from a social media world where, DMs and text messages and things like that, where they don't pick up a phone and actually talk on the phone, where you can hear, like, are you okay in your voice? So that moment was very trying, because I just watched my son just really deal with something internalizing, and, I had to pull it out of him to get him to, like, communicate, like, what was going on, how was he feeling?
Speaking of mental capacity, when you do see the viral stuff, and there are the criticisms, how do you process those things? How do you handle those things? Because the strongest of us can only deal with so much. And I would expect that if I'm just loving my kid, doing the best I can, when so many kids don't have parents that do that, or have parents at all, and I'm getting criticism for that, that could hurt. That could make you question some things. How do you deal with some of the criticism?
I mean, like I said, I've taught sales teams, and I have perception's reality. And, it's perceived. It's unfortunate it's perceived that way, but that's the way we view supportive parents. So if we're out, that's just how they look at us. And the why behind why they say it, I don't understand it, but it's just what it is. And if their why is because I said I don't want my son to, those girls, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the shoe fits, put it on. But I mean, again, it's because I worked hard to watch him. When things weren't going on right, or, I felt that maybe I made him make a bad decision, those were my sleepless nights. Those weren't his. And I would say, you know what, like, there was times I thought to myself, like, okay, did we make the right move? And you just never know what chess pieces you put in place until you see the final product. And that's what everybody sees now, but they don't realize what it took to see Jaden play on Sundays and become the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And, I remember I did an interview way back in Miami when we were preseason, joint practice with Miami, and I told him about CJ's records, and Jaden has them listed on his phone, and I told the guy he's going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he looked at me like, okay. I'm like, but we manifest a lot of things that we want, and I've always taught my kids, what you want, you manifest. And going back to his college days, he has a sign, I will play in the NFL, and not only playing, I mean, he's cementing his legacy. And like the sophomore slumps and all that, like, we're not worried about that. Like, boy puts too much time and effort. He really loves this sport, like, to where he would compromise other things just for the love of the game.
So go way back. When did you first realize that he had something special on the field? And are there any moments you can share with us where he made you most proud, not just on the field as a player, but as a man, like developing into manhood?
Like I told you, Jaden's first sport was soccer. And most soccer players at 4 years old, the ball goes one way and you see all the kids running, and then the ball goes the other way and all them run. And I remember Jaden's over here, like, shifting, taking the ball from the kids, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to do this, and he's 4. But it goes down to when we put a basketball in his hand when he was little. Jaden's sports IQ is incredible. Like, if you talk about football with him, we're just like, and not even just football, just sports in general. Like, a Rod Wave song will come out and he knows it like in an hour, and I'm over here looking at the lyrics, like, what does that lyric say?
Rod's sad though, man.
Those kids love Rod Wave.
He's a Florida boy now.
Yeah,
Come
they
on,
love
man.
him.
Yeah.
But just anyway, so like anything, so like Jaden's mental is just at another level. So like one of the biggest moments that I'm proud of is we stuck to a plan, and RC, we were all in a three and out plan, right?
Yep.
Wasn't that our goal? And look, it took us 5 years. But hey,
still,
some people's plans are different. But actually watching Jaden achieve something that he put his mind to. So when we got to ASU, it was, we're gonna do 3 and out. And I said, hey, if you're gonna go 3 and out, you need to get that degree, because that's what I want. And even though his football side of it didn't go, he got that degree in 3 years. It just shows that once you put your mind to something and you commit to something, you can achieve it. And that was my biggest moment that's not football related.
Well, being that this is a Mother's Day show, Jaden's not here with us. If there's anything you can tell him right now, what would that be?
I'm proud of the child I raised, the man that he is. He's quiet. That doesn't mean he's not observant. He's quiet because that's just who he's always been. But just to see him attack and, be fearless, and he silences the noise. I'm like, I'm gonna go off. And he's like, don't. I'm like, and just to watch him be so humble and protect us. And, our job as parents is to protect our kids, like I said. And my son wants to protect me. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm Mom. I got this. And he's like, well, Mom, maybe, I should do this or we should do that. And I'm like, no, your job is to go play football. Like, this is the world we're in. It's unfortunate, It's a great world to be in. It opens a lot of doors and, a lot of opportunities, but it comes with the scrutiny. And, I'm not mad at the world scrutinizing it. I just want the world to maybe think that not everything that's put out is in that light, in that context, because a lot of stuff is out of context, and it's, you take a screenshot or you take a picture and you're like, that doesn't tell the story. Right. Just, I think, getting more involved instead of clickbait. And I see there's people who do, go to bat for us and they're supportive of us. And it's to the point now there's a lot of brands that want to brand me and Jaden as the first mother-son duo. And, that hasn't really happened, but that's what they want to go to because it's something different, it's something unique. And I just think the world needs to embrace it because, we're here. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not gonna, shy away from him. Eventually it'll phase out because things phase out. The business side's never gonna phase out. But, Tom Brady is still Tom Brady to this day, but, he's not they get tired of talking about, Tom. Eventually, he's hot right now, so of course you want to talk to the hottest guy. Right. But a couple of years now, we'll look back and laugh and say, dang, remember when we were trending all the time? We were trending every other week.
How much thought, if any, have you given to publicly stepping away a little bit? If it's a Wizard game, and obviously, if Jaden goes to the Wizards game, he's on the big screen. Yeah. Right? That big screen is eventually going to be put on social media. Yeah. And you're going to be right next to him. If he's going to see Ovechkin, it's the same thing. I know that you're close to BA. Yeah. That BA's your, you know what I'm saying? Like he's your nephew. And
the funny thing is I got the invite before Jaden even knew about the wedding, and I'm +1. I said, wow, those kids, it's funny you say that because we're not he doesn't go out. So when you see it, it's oh, we could be out 3 times in a year, and that's been 3 times to publicize it. He was at the Caps game and I wasn't there. I got invited, come on. I'm like, no, again, Jaden is his own person. But the one thing I would say is that doesn't shy away from the relationship me and my kids have. We have a great bond, and we don't want to satisfy the world's viewing because that's not what got him where he's at. What got him here is our connection and our bond. And, I don't need to publicly say stuff. You can criticize us all you guys want. Every person is getting criticized, but I'm not gonna change who I am. But to your question, he's been to Laker games. I haven't been. I've been to Laker games he hasn't been to. We don't do everything together, but the magnified glass is a little bit, it's magnified a lot more when we're
Speak
together.
of the Lakers. How cool is it being from California to have Jayden now have a budding relationship with Magic Johnson?
It's great. I mean, we sat down with Magic and, you know, I go into rooms and I try to not act like I know too much because I have to read the room. And I don't want to like challenge people or, you know, they're like, oh, she knows too much or whatever. But it was funny because Magic was talking. He was like, you got to listen to your mama. She knows her stuff. I mean, I really do a lot for him. And it aligns with what Magic's teams does. We have a team. It's just I head the team. Right. And so when my biggest thing is I have a team of people, but no one's going to protect you like your mom. No one knows you more like your parents, you know? So I know Jayden's temperament. I know Jayden's gonna tell me the real that he may not tell, you know, the rest of our team. And so, you know, I've taken a step back. Like I'm there, but I allow other people. And when it happens, you know, he gets overly, you know, overwhelmed, bombarded and all that. And that's normally what I do is like, no, we're not doing that because Jayden's he's the face. He's the nice guy. He's not gonna tell a kid, no, we're not gonna sign, or adults, you know, can we do this? But there has to be a happy medium when he goes out. He can't just go out every single time and just be bombarded because he's never gonna wanna go out, you know? So someone has to help him through that until, like I said, the world gets tired of like, okay.
The world ain't gonna get tired of that part. You know, like Regina, the success he's had early, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, like, he has made an entire city believe in football again, right? It started with the building. When we went in the offseason, it was like, yeah, he the one. Yeah. You know, and you could see it right away. And so they're not going to stop necessarily clamoring for him. Maybe it gets to a point to where it's not like over the weekend, Jayden Daniels steps out with girl and mom.
With our marketing assistant, let's put that on record. Marketing assistant,
yeah, you know, and so like, yeah. I think that's the way that things can be twisted. For you, what's the vision? Because I want to talk about you a little bit. What's the vision business-wise for you? Because there's obviously this starting point, which starts with being a parent to your son, but with having that education, with having that knowledge, that could also help and benefit other players and other people in entertainment. Is there a vision for you going forward that you will expand certain things?
Yeah, I think right now, like, you know, it's hard because, again, I want to be the best at everything I do. So I would never want to take on other clients and, like, not be there. And so as we're navigating through Jayden's, you know, career and success, it's like I want to make sure I'm there for him 100%, and also be, if I sign clients, there for them 100%. And so I have to figure out how that works amongst me because, like I said, I still have my personal job, and it's something I'm not ready to give up. And everybody's like, yeah, you're gonna give it up. I'm like, I'm just not ready at this point. Like, I like, you know, being involved with my leader teams. I love my reps coming to me and I'm helping change their lives and watching them, you know, make a lot of money where they're able to, you know, buy cars or invest in things or buy properties or things like that. That's what gives me like my highest level of excitement, is watching people believe in me and the results show, and which the results are their financial means. And so I'm not ready to give that up yet. So that's a big factor because, like, I can't be pulled in all these ways. You know, there's the things where moms wear a lot of hats, and we do, but we're always going to do that for our kids. And when I take on someone else's kids, I have to treat them as my kid, as if I would fight for, you know, Jayden or my daughter, and I got to be able to do that for them too. So I can't half-ass them, and I just got to figure out how to juggle all that.
Folks be shooting they shot at Regina now, though, that you famous?
As far as what?
Them dudes, they be trying to.
Man, Regina over here.
You know, but what kills me in all of this, and I just sit back and observe everything, and a lot of this crap is created by blogs, right?
Yeah, of course.
And blogs that our people manage and run, which is unfortunate because on one breath, you say, oh, a lot of black women, not a lot, but black women aren't as educated, aren't as highly educated. But then when you see a successful highly educated black woman, just doing the right thing, have seen the game, studied the game, know the pitfalls and know how to circumvent those things to allow their children to become successful, people want to hate on that. You know, people talk crap about Lamar Jackson's mother, you know, being in that same position, filling that role, even to the point where you had execs behind the scene creating these narratives because they didn't want to so-called deal with her. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And we try to do our best to not only protect black women, but black moms. Like, you all deserve the biggest round of applause because you go through so much and other people don't know what you go through. Yeah. But when you come from this community, you should know what we deal with, right? Yeah. Not always knowing the upbringing, but you should have some kind of inkling of what we had to go through to get, you know, our son or children to the highest level of the highest. So, and I don't really have a question. I'm just talking facts. Because it drives me crazy.
No, I agree.
Because it be our people, and then the other platforms go and they run with it.
I agree.
It kills me.
I went from, you know, protect them to now like criticizing it. And it is what it is. It's the life we chose. Actually, you know, the life chose us. We didn't choose a life. You know, he's good at football. But it comes with that. And I think I'm here because, again, I can be a testimony to other parents that have the knowledge and don't really want to be in it. I can show them like how to do it the right way. And even when you do the right way, you still get scrutinized. Like, there's nothing I'm doing wrong. There's nothing that if I was a nobody, you guys wouldn't care about us. If he wasn't the offensive rookie of the year, or if he wasn't taking a team from 4-13 and building a culture. Like, you gotta understand, Jaden just didn't play football. He helped build that culture with Dan Quinn. And those guys like believe in him, and they said, hey, if Jaden gets the ball at the end, we're gonna win. And that belief system is a very strong, a very powerful moment, you know? And we're always gonna be scrutinized, and it's okay. Like, I'm okay to be scrutinized. That's what it comes with, and we have to accept it. But I want to have and encourage more parents that have this stuff to get involved and stay involved in your kids. Don't ever just feel like, you know, the media is gonna, because the media wants to run us away. I mean, honestly, they want to keep putting me out there because they do, and to show like, and, you know, I get weird, you know, that's the kids' lingo, it's weird. I'm like, what is weird? I date, I have successful relationships. I don't need to like put my friend street out. You guys will never see him, so don't worry about it.
That's why I ask people like,
it's all right. Mama's smart though, I ain't gonna put that out there. We do everything the right way and we still get scrutinized. Even if I had a man, they don't know if there was a guy in the truck, they don't know because the camera stopped recording after a certain moment. They don't know what's going on, but they care about me and Jaden's relationship. Yep. And the thing is as we get more parents to, you know, the John Morants, the Deons, and, you know, the Patrick Mahomes, like, you know, when we start to become more and more of those people, then what are they gonna say? It becomes the standard, it becomes the norm. Right now, it's not normal. So they just wanna tear us down. And, you know, I want Felicia, I wanna meet her, you know, Kevin Durant, Wanda, you know, that's who we are. Like, you can't stop us. Like, our kids thrive off of us. Like, what we instilled in them is what gets them to go, you know? And I can't really speak more about it, but it just is what it is. But I'm here to stay. I'm not gonna shy away from my child, because at the end of the day, like, when we sign a big contract, I'll be patted on the back again. You know, unfortunately, there's gonna be some unfortunate things that happen amongst, you know, athletes and things like that I'll be praised again. And, you know, it's just the roller coaster that we ride in this new era that we're in. And
well, I would actually say, Regina, you're different than those parents, you know, and not in any way lessening what they've done, but to have the education, to be a part of the business in a way to where you're adding, to be protective in that way. I do think that's a step above, because there's one thing to have the want to, there's another thing to have the know-how.
Yeah.
And I believe you've been able to do that. But we've watched so much of Jaden's success. And because I met him younger, I was there when, you know, I remember when his grandparents passed. I remember when he left ASU and those boys went through his locker. I learned because Jordan called me cussing, because he was upset about it. What were some of the harder things, though, Regina, you had to guide Jayden to? Because it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
I mean, honestly, I would say I'm very fortunate in life. I worked really hard. We really haven't had to really struggle. Because I've always feel like when you're proactive instead of reactive and you live a life like that, you foresee things. So every step, it's like a calculated, educated step. And I've kind of been, by the grace of God, because, we are a family of, our religion. And by the grace of God, I've been able to not have to really deal with too much scrutiny and adversity. That, like, I've dealt with a lot. I think we dealt with a lot more just with the kids that I've helped along the way. Like, I used to have an 8-seater when we were going up, and everybody would be in my car. Like, right with mom, and I'm like, oh my God, like, when football was over and his was done, I was like, let me get rid of this car. Give me a 2-door. I don't ever take anybody with me. But I used to be like, we've experienced those things with kids that I took over that parents didn't have anything. And, I'm taking on an extra, mouth to feed when we're at tournaments and, buying them uniforms and, clothing them. And, just because we go shopping or we do something with my kid, I'm not going to leave someone else's kid out. So I'm taking on someone else. And I've been doing it for so long that I've been favored, blessed and highly favored because of it, but we really haven't had to struggle. So the struggles that Jayden really had to, really face as, a young adult was, decisions of schools. I didn't make his decision. He made all the decisions. But I walk them through a plan. Like, the one thing I don't want about these kids is they don't commit to anything anymore. They commit, but it's not really a commitment. And I told Jayden, whenever you feel it, you commit, and that's where you go. Like, when he was young, he's like, I want to do this. And the one thing I would say is, you sure you want to do it? Because you're going to fulfill the timeline. So if it's like, 4 months of practice and all that, we're going to do it. You're not going to pull out. But I think just instilling that is what you guys see today. So we haven't really had too much, and we knock on some wood or something.
Ain't a lot in here.
Is there any advice that you would share or give to the other moms out there that are supporting their children's dreams and want to be close, but also want to give them, that space that they need to develop along the journey?
Believe it or not, a lot of women reach out to me. A lot of parents reach out to me. Say how I'm inspiring to them. Like, I just, like, out and about, like, you're so inspiring to me, and this is what I want to be. I want to be you when I grow up. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to be. I would say just stick to who you are. Like, stick to your truth. Don't let the world change who you are. Like, you gotta, the saying is, if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. Mm-hmm. You gotta stand for something. And right now I'm standing on business. I'm standing for it because this is what got my son here. And if I start to deviate, if I start to let things detour me from the plan, I'm not gonna get to the bigger plan. And it's bigger than football. It's beyond this. And I wanna help him do that for him, not for me. His money is his money. Like, I don't do nothing for my, like I said, I still work. That's his money. I want him to live his journey, and whatever his highest level of excitement is, I want him to reach it. But I would say to any parent supporting him is, you gotta have thick skin. I'll tell you that right now. It's not for the weak. You gotta read stuff, look at it, and swallow a pill. And sometimes those pills aren't easy to swallow, because if you are doing those things that the world is saying, then you have to detach, and sometimes detaching from your kids that you've been around for so long is hard to do. But if you have the knowledge and know-how, you just gotta kind of position yourself in the world where, they know that you're there for a purpose. It's not to hang out. It's not to be a third wheel or third leg or all that stuff that they say. It's actually to be a supportive system and to watch the things that you put into play, like, actually come to fruition. So, like I said, being a business manager, being an agent, that's only to enhance my son, but eventually I want to be able to enhance other people's kids.
And I think that would be dope. Since I've known you, all you've done is love him, and If people have a problem with that, then that's on them. You know how it is. People have their own insecurities, their own desires, their own needs, their own wants that aren't met. And because those aren't, they got to tear other people down.
Yeah.
It's evident by the way he succeeded that you did the right thing and are doing the right thing. And the other thing is this, if he didn't want you to do it, he'd just tell you. Like y'all have that relationship. And I think that's the thing that people miss, that when you become an adult and you're playing on the level he's playing on, you're running a locker room the way that he is, you still make your own decisions. And if he don't have no problem with you, then everybody else on the outside should shut the hell up because it ain't for them to worry about. So I appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Enjoy your trip.
Yes, yes.
Hope to see you soon.
That was a lot. Thank you. Good. That was great.
Yeah.
Hold up, limitless, take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On a mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Limitless, take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up.